Good evening and welcome back to Mythical and Mystical Talmudic Teachings, episode number 6. Today we are studying Talmud Brachot, page 3a. And there's a fascinating mystical story that the Talmud recounts. Tanya, our rabbis taught. Amar Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said, Pam achas hayisi mahalich baderech. One time I was traveling on the road. V'nichnasti lechurva, and I entered into a ruin, mechorvos Yerushalayim, of the ruins of Jerusalem, lihispalel, to pray. Bo'elio zachor latov, Elijah, the prophet of blessed memory, came and waited for me at the door, v'shamar li al hapesach, ad shesiyamti tefilasi, until I finished praying. Le'achar shesiyamti tefilasi, after I finished praying, Amar li, he said, Shalom alecho Rabbi, greetings to you, my teacher. V'amarti lo, I responded to him, Shalom alecho Rabbi umori, greetings unto you, my rabbi, my teacher. V'amar li, Elijah the prophet said to me, Bani, my son, mipnei ma nichnasta lechorva zu, why did you go into this ruin? Amarti lo, I said to him, lihispalel, I did so in order to pray. V'amar li, Elijah said to me, you should have prayed on the road. V'amarti lo, I said to him, I was worried that passers-by might interrupt me in my prayer. V'amar li, and he said, if that's the case, you should have prayed an abbreviated prayer. This is a fascinating story. Rabbi Yossi is on the road, he's traveling, and he enters into one of the ruins of Jerusalem, and he's praying there, and he has a vision in which Elijah the prophet is waiting at the door of this ruin and asks him, why are you in this ruin? And he says, I came here to pray. Why are you coming in here to pray? Because I'm worried that passers-by might interrupt my prayer. And so he says, well, if that's the case, you should have still prayed on the road. So I've been trying to understand this story. And based on the explanations of Rav Kook and the Ben Ish Chai, here's how I understand it. First of all, note the difference between Mahalech Baderach and Ovrei Derachim, between a traveler and a passerby. There are two kinds of people that are on the road. One person is on a journey, and another person is person who's on the journey is just passing through. And so Rabbi Yossi refers to himself as a person who's traveling, who's going through a process of evolution, who's going through a journey in which every step is a developmental stage. However, there comes a moment in which he has to pray, connect to God. And so on his journey of self-development, he steps into a place in order to pray, into a dangerous place, meaning he steps off the road for a moment, and now he's in a ruin. And perhaps what this might mean is that when a person stops traveling, when they stop seeing themselves as being on a developmental journey, and they step off of the road, in that moment, they are now in a ruin. They are now in a place that is not growing, but is decaying. Now, it's true that it's with good intentions, and that's why it's referred to as a ruin of Jerusalem. But at the same time, he's off the road. Why would a person who is so self-reflective and who sees themselves as a person growing and learning, why would they step off the road? And so he says, it's because on the road there are passersby. There are people who are on this road with me, but who aren't trying to improve themselves. You see, when two people are on a road together and they're both trying to grow and they both see themselves as being in a developmental process, what's fascinating about being on the road, we don't control the next step. We don't control what we're going to come up to. And a person who sees themselves as on a journey understands that everything that I encounter, everything that I come up against is part of my journey, is part of my process. Whereas a person who's just passing through sees everything that they come across as an obstacle, as slowing me down, as getting in my way, as a problem. So if I'm on a journey of development and I come across somebody else who's on a journey of development, I would never see them as an obstacle. I only see them as part of my journey. That's why Rabbi Yossi is not concerned about another journey person encountering him when he's praying. He's concerned about a passerby encountering him when he's praying, who will become annoyed with him or who would disturb him during his prayer. So perhaps what Eliyahu Hanavi, what Elijah the prophet tells him is, no, you have to realize that too is part of your journey. That too is part of your prayer. Now, it may be that you have to modify your prayer. You may have to pray an abbreviated prayer. After all, you have to be mindful of the fact that you're on the road. And perhaps here, Rabbi Eliyahu Hanavi is telling something very powerful, and this is something that I've heard from many people that don't want to pray in community, who don't want to pray in a synagogue, because they feel that they'll have a better, longer, more meditative prayer in the synagogue. But in so doing, what we have done is we've sacrificed our journey. He says it's better to have an abbreviated prayer and to see yourself as being on a journey, as being going through a learning process, than to have a long meditative prayer and not see yourself as part of a process, and see yourself as being encapsulated in your own world. Now, therefore, Rabbi Yossi is told you should better pray an abbreviated prayer and recognize that those people too are part of your process. Don't be concerned about only learning from people who are on a journey. You also need to be mindful of the ovrei drachim, of the passers through that are on your path. So even today, now that being said, this is how I would understand this story under normal circumstances. Today, that we're all praying at home, we're all praying alone, we also have to understand that we're not praying in a churva, that we're not praying in a ruin, that we have to see our prayer as always being baderech, as being part of a journey, as part of a development. See you next time we study the Talmud together.